the knocking doesn't stop. It comes fast, uneven, almost desperate enough to break the wood apart. Inside, the man doesn't move at first. He sits still in the dark, eyes open, hand resting near the gun on the table. The knock comes again, louder now, like bones hitting bone. A woman's voice follows, cracked and thin. "Please, open the door." He says nothing. The silence inside is heavy, but she doesn't leave. "I know you're in there," she says, breath shaking. "They're coming." The man finally stands. Slow. Careful. He steps toward the door but keeps his distance. "Go away," he says flatly. "I can't." "You picked the wrong house." "No," she whispers. "I picked the only one left." He studies the door like it might answer for her. Another knock, softer this time. "Please." He grips the handle but doesn't open it yet. "You followed?" "No, you lie bad." "I don't have time to lie." A long pause stretches between them. Then he pulls the door open just enough to see her face. She looks worse than her voice. Dirt smeared across her skin. Hair tangled. Eyes wide, but not wild. Something deeper. Something that has already seen the worst. He lowers his gaze slightly and sees the blood on her hands. Not fresh, but not old either. "You got blood on you," he says. She nods, swallowing hard. "It's not mine." "Whose?" She hesitates. Her mouth opens, then closes again. "I don't know." He watches her longer this time. The wind pushes against the door, but neither of them moves. "They'll find me," she says. "Maybe. If they do, they won't stop at me." His eyes flicker, just once. "That a threat?" "That's a promise." Another silence. He steps back finally and opens the door wider. "Inside," he says. "One night." She doesn't argue. She steps in fast, like the dark behind her might grab her back. He shuts the door right after, locking it without looking. She stands in the middle of the room, unsure where to put her hands, unsure where to look. "Thank you," she says quietly. He doesn't respond. He walks past her, takes the chair again, and keeps the gun within reach. "Don't touch anything," he says. "I won't." "Don't ask questions." She nods. "I won't." A beat passes. "You got a name?" She hesitates again. "Sarah." He studies her face like he's testing the word. "That true?" "It's the one I'm using." He exhales through his nose. "Fine." She shifts her weight, trying to stay steady. "What should I call you?" "You shouldn't call me anything." Another silence. The house creaks slightly, like it's settling around them. Then a soft voice breaks it from the shadows. "Is she dead?" The woman flinches, turning fast. "No," another small voice answers. "She's breathing." Sarah's eyes search the corners of the room. "Who said that?" The man doesn't move. "They're awake," he mutters. "Who?" she asks. Two small figures step forward from the dark. Barefoot. Quiet. Their faces are pale but calm, like nothing surprises them anymore. "We live here," one says. "You're loud," the other adds. Sarah stares at them, confusion cutting through her fear. "I didn't hear you before." "You weren't listening," one says. "You were running," the other says. Sarah looks back at the man. "You said you weren't alone." "I said nothing," he replies. The twins move closer, slow and curious. They stop just a few steps away from her, studying her like she's something they've been waiting for. "Why are you here?" one asks. "Because I had nowhere else," Sarah answers. "That's not true," the other says. "You left somewhere." Sarah's throat tightens. "I didn't have a choice." "You always have a choice," the first one replies. The man stands abruptly. "Enough." The room falls still again. The twins don't argue. They just keep watching. Sarah lowers her eyes, trying to steady her breathing. I won't cause trouble, she says softly. You already did, one twin whispers. You knocked, the other says. The man walks to the door and checks the lock again, firm this time. Then he turns back toward her. You can sit, he says. That's it. She nods and slowly lowers herself onto a chair, hands still shaking. The twins step back into the shadows, but their eyes stay on her. The man finally sits again, leaning forward slightly. If someone comes, he says, voice low, you don't speak. Okay. You don't move. Okay. And you don't open that door. Sarah swallows. I won't. The silence returns, but it feels different now. Heavier. Like something has already begun. From the dark, one of the twins whispers again, almost too quiet to hear. She brought it with her. The other answers, just as soft. I know. Sarah looks up, heart pounding. What did you say? No one responds. The man doesn't even glance their way. He just stares at her, eyes steady, like he's already made a decision he won't explain. Outside, something shifts in the distance. Not loud, but enough. Sarah grips the edge of the chair. They're close, she whispers. The man tilts his head slightly, listening. Then he looks back at her. Then you better hope this door holds. The door stays shut, but no one relaxes. The man doesn't sit back this time. He leans forward, listening past the walls, past the quiet. Sarah keeps her hands locked together in her lap, trying to stop the shaking. The twins don't move. They just stand there, watching her like they're waiting for something she hasn't said yet. Sarah clears her throat. You live here, she asks softly. The man answers without looking at her. You see anyone else? She glances at the twins. Them. One of them tilts their head. We're not anyone else, the first says. We were here first, the second adds. Sarah blinks, unsure how to respond. How old are you? She asks. Old enough, one says. Older than you think, the other follows. The man exhales sharply. They talk too much when they're curious. Sarah swallows. They don't seem scared. They're not, he says. One of the twins steps closer. You are, they say. Sarah nods, not even trying to deny it. Yeah. The other twin leans slightly forward. Not of us. Sarah hesitates. No. Of what's coming, the first finishes. Sarah looks at the man again. You heard something outside? He doesn't answer right away. Not yet, he says. But it's out there. The twins glance toward the door at the same time, like they hear something deeper than sound. It always is, one whispers. Sarah shifts in her chair. What happened to you? She asks, looking at the twins again. The man's voice cuts in immediately. Don't ask that. But one of the twins answers anyway. We stayed. Sarah frowns. Stayed from what? From leaving, the other says. Everyone else left. Or tried to, the first adds. Sarah's chest tightens. And you didn't? They both shake their heads slowly. We couldn't. The man stands and walks past them, heading toward a small window. He lifts the curtain just enough to look out, then lets it fall again. Enough talking, he mutters. Go sit down. The twins don't move. We don't sit, one says. We watch, the other adds. Sarah looks between them, her voice quieter now. Why are you watching me? One of the twins shrugs slightly. Because you came back. Sarah stiffens. I've never been here before. You have, the other says. Just not like this. Sarah shakes her head. No, the man turns from the window, eyes narrowing. What do you mean? The twins don't look at him. they keep their eyes on Sarah. You left something, one says. A long time ago, the other adds. Sarah's breathing quickens. I don't remember that. That's the point, the first replies. The man steps closer now, tension rising in his shoulders. Stop talking in circles, he says. Say it clear or don't say it at all. The twins go quiet for a moment. Then one of them speaks again, softer this time. She forgot. The other nods. But it didn't. Sarah grips the chair tighter. What didn't? No answer. The silence stretches until it feels like something might break. Finally, she looks back at the man. What are they? She asks. He doesn't answer right away. He studies them the same way she does, like he's still trying to understand them himself. What's left? He says finally. Sarah frowns. Left of what? He shakes his head once. Doesn't matter. It does to me, she says. Then you shouldn't have come, he replies. One of the twins takes another step forward. You didn't just come, they say. You were brought. Sarah looks at them, confused. By who? The twin lifts their chin slightly toward the floor. By it. Sarah's eyes flick down, then back up. There's nothing here. The other twin shakes their head. Not nothing. The man's voice sharpens. That's enough. The room tightens again. The twins fall quiet, but their gaze doesn't leave Sarah. She exhales slowly, trying to steady herself. I just need the night, she says. That's all. One of the twins tilts their head again. You won't leave in the morning. Sarah forces a small, tired smile. I will. The other twin answers, calm and certain. No. You won't. The man walks back to his chair and sits, but he doesn't relax. Ignore them, he says. They like to be right. Sarah looks at him. Are they? He doesn't answer. The silence fills the room again, heavier now, thicker. The twins step back slowly, retreating into the shadows, but their presence doesn't fade. It lingers, like they're still standing right beside her. Sarah leans back slightly, closing her eyes for just a moment. She tries to breathe steady, tries to think straight. But the quiet won't settle. Then one of the twins whispers again from the dark. She's listening now. The other answers just as softly. Good. Sarah's eyes snap open. To what? She asks, voice barely above a breath. No one answers. The man doesn't move. The house creaks slow and slow, like something shifting beneath it. Sarah's gaze drifts downward, toward the floor without meaning to. Her breath catches. Did you feel that? She asks. The man looks at her, then at the ground. He doesn't speak. The twins' voices come one last time, almost gentle now. It's starting, one says. It knows she's here, the other adds. Sarah's fingers tighten against the wood of the chair as a faint, hollow sound rises from below, soft but clear, like something tapping from under the floor. Sarah froze, ear pressed to the wooden floor, trying to catch what the twins had heard. A soft, rhythmic scratching echoed from somewhere below, uneven and hollow. She jerked back. Do you hear that? She whispered, voice trembling. The man didn't answer immediately. He leaned against the wall, fingers tapping against the table, listening. Not yet, he said finally. But it's there. Waiting. The twins moved closer, low to the ground, as if the floor itself recognized them. It's calling, one said. Who? Sarah asked, panic rising. You know, the other replied. Sarah shook her head. I don't. Silence stretched between them, heavy and thick. The man stepped forward. If you touch it, you'll regret it, he said. One twin crouched near the floorboards. You already did, they said softly. The other nodded. Years ago. But it didn't stay buried. Sarah's chest tightened. I shouldn't, the man cut her off. You shouldn't, but you will. Because it's time. Her hands shook as she lowered herself to the floor, pushing a board gently with her fingers. The nails scraped the wood, a sharp sound cracked through the room. Careful, the man warned. She swallowed and pressed harder. Dust rose, curling in the dim lamplight. The twins didn't help. They just watched, silent and unnerving. The board shifted, revealing a narrow, dark cavity beneath. Sarah leaned closer. Do you see it? She asked. One twin whispered, not yet. The other added, but it's waiting. A faint whisper drifted up from the opening, so soft Sarah could barely make it out. Help me! Her heart slammed in her chest. Did you hear that? She asked, voice breaking. I did, the man said. He stepped closer, hand near his gun. It shouldn't be speaking. The twins' eyes gleamed, unafraid. It is, one said. And it remembers. Sarah swallowed hard. Remembers what? Everything, the other whispered. Everything it should never know. Sarah pressed her ear closer, the floor rough against her skin. Please, the voice hissed again, desperate, cold. Her stomach twisted. What is it? She asked, voice barely above a breath. The man bent slightly, jaw tight. Something buried wrong. Something left behind. That shouldn't be here. One twin leaned even closer. It's not just a voice. It's the truth. Sarah's hand hovered over the edge of the cavity. I shouldn't, you should, the other twin said. It chose you. Always chooses. Her fingers trembled. She gritted her teeth and pushed. Another board shifted, then another, revealing a narrow space deep below, dark and stale with the smell of old earth. God, she whispered, looking at the man. He didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the opening, tense and unreadable. A sudden shift of dust and shadow made her pull back. Did it move? She whispered. The twins shook their heads. It waits, one said. The other added, but it knows you're here. Sarah swallowed hard. The voice spoke again, louder this time, more urgent. Cold, she froze. The man's hand hovered over his gun. I warned you, he said. It doesn't forgive mistakes. Sarah's lips trembled. I didn't make it. One twin shook their head slowly. You always leave something behind, they said. The other added, even when you think you run. Sarah's throat tightened. I wasn't running. The man's voice snapped. Stop talking. Focus. If it notices your fear, it won't wait for morning. The air in the room shifted, heavy with dust and some unnameable presence. Sarah pressed her ear to the opening again, ignoring the chill that ran down her spine. Please, the voice sounded closer now, almost beneath her skin, a soft scraping that crawled against her bones. Her fingers brushed against something hard below the boards. Oh God, she whispered. It's real. The man stepped closer, eyes sharp, jaw tight. I told you, he said. Some things shouldn't be uncovered. Sarah's hands hovered over the opening, shaking violently. But I have to, she said. I need to know. The twins didn't speak. They just watched, silent, waiting like shadows themselves had wait. Slowly, Sarah reached into the darkness. Her fingers met something cold, almost brittle. She recoiled, shaking. It's hard, she said. One twin whispered, that's because it was left to rot. The other added, it remembers everything, even what you forgot. Her stomach twisted. I don't understand. You will, one twin said. All of it, the other said. The man stepped back slightly, his face pale under the lamplight. God help you, he muttered. Sarah swallowed hard, forcing her fingers deeper. The voice, now clearer, rasped against the floorboards. Don't forget, her breath caught. I won't, she whispered. The twins' eyes gleamed faintly in the dark. It already knows, one said. The other added, and it's awake. The man's hand tightened near his gun. Once it wakes, he said quietly, there's no going back. Sarah froze, hand pressed against the cold thing beneath. I hear it, it's calling me, she said. Yes, one twin said softly. It's always calling. What is it? She whispered. The man's jaw tightened. Something that should have stayed buried, he said. The twins nodded, silent and grave. And now it's here, Sarah said, voice breaking. And now you're here, one twin whispered back. The floor creaked under the weight of its unseen presence, low and ominous. Sarah pulled her hand back slightly, heart hammering. It wants me, she asked. The other twins shook their head. No. It wants truth. The truth? Everything, the first said. Even what you've forgotten. The scraping beneath her grew louder, sharper, more urgent. I can't stop it, Sarah whispered. You can't, the man said quietly, voice rough. The twins just watched, unblinking. Then what do I do? You listen, one said. You do what it asks, the other added. Her hand trembled as she hovered above the cavity, the dark hollow pressing up like something alive. I hear it, she whispered, and it's telling me, the voice rasped again, insistent and urgent. Everything, she exhaled, swallowed hard, and pressed her hand back down into the darkness. I'll listen, she said. The man's jaw tightened. Good, he muttered. The twins' eyes shone faintly in the lamplight. It knows you're ready, one said. And it remembers, the other added. The air in the room seemed to shift again, heavier, alive, and Sarah, trembling, leaned closer to the floor, knowing there was no turning back. Sarah's hands shook as the last board shifted aside, revealing a narrow cavity beneath the floor. Dust swirled in the dim lamplight, filling her nostrils with the scent of old earth and decay. Her fingers brushed something hard, cold, and brittle. She froze, then leaned closer, heart pounding. It's bones, she whispered, voice barely audible. The man's hand tightened near his gun. I told you, he said quietly, some things shouldn't be uncovered. The twins crouched beside her, unafraid, eyes wide and steady. It's not just bones, one said. It's the story. Sarah swallowed, trying to calm herself, but the weight of the small skeletal hand pressed against her chest like a physical force. Whose? She asked, voice trembling. The man's jaw tightened. Mine, he said finally. Sarah's stomach dropped. Yours? The twin beside her shook their head. Not yours alone. The other twin added, not dead. Not fully. Her gaze darted between the man and the twins. What do you mean, not dead? The man exhaled sharply. I buried what was already gone. Sarah shook her head, a hollow feeling gnawing at her. You buried a child? It was the only way to stop it from staying here, he said. I didn't have a choice. You didn't, the twins echoed. You failed, one said softly. Sarah pressed her hands against her mouth, fighting back bile. Why would you do this? Because the law of this place, he said, voice low and tight, runs on silence. The twins' eyes gleamed in the dim light. It remembers everything, one said. Everything you tried to forget. The air grew heavier, oppressive, like the walls themselves were leaning in. The voice from beneath whispered again, rasping and low. Cold, Sarah swallowed hard. I hear it, she said. It's asking for something. The man stepped closer, tone sharp. You don't touch it more than you have to. It won't stop, Sarah whispered. It's not meant to. The twins leaned forward. You left more behind than you knew, one said. And now it's awake, the other added. Sarah swallowed again and looked at the skeletal hand. I didn't even know it existed, she said. And yet here it is. The man knelt briefly, brushing dust from the edge of the cavity. The sheriff came here once, he muttered. Years ago. Sarah froze. The sheriff? What does he have to do with this? The man's eyes narrowed. He wanted it. The child? Sarah asked, voice shaking. Yes. One twin tilted their head. Not dead, they said again. Never fully gone. The other twins' eyes lingered on Sarah. It remembered you. I never had a child, Sarah said, disbelief cracking her voice. You did, one twin whispered. They took it, the other added. Her stomach twisted. Who? The sheriff, the man said softly, jaw tight. And he made sure you wouldn't remember. Sarah's breath caught. Why? Because it was never supposed to exist in the first place, the man said, voice low and rough. And yet it did. The twins didn't move. They just watched, calm and unwavering. It wants you to see, one said softly. It wants the truth, the other added. Sarah swallowed hard, feeling nausea twist her gut. The truth? Everything, the twins said in unison. Every part you tried to bury with your own forgetting. The skeletal hand shifted slightly, as though it had awareness, pressing faintly against her fingers. It knows me, she whispered. It remembers. The man's face grew darker. Some things should stay buried, he said. But you forced it awake. Sarah looked down at the cavity again. I have to know, she said, voice shaking. I have to see. One twin nodded faintly. Then see, they said. Feel it. The other added, it will not lie. Her fingers pressed gently against the brittle bones. I hear it, she whispered. It's telling me everything. The man's eyes darkened under the lamplight. God help you, he muttered. Sarah's heart pounded against her ribs. I'll listen, she said quietly, shaking. I'll know the truth. The twins leaned back slightly, eyes reflecting the dim light. It knows you're ready, one said. And it remembers, the other said. Dust rose in the stillness. The air seemed thick with weight, pressing down around them, quiet but alive. Sarah exhaled slowly, forcing herself to stare into the dark cavity. I'm ready, she whispered. Tell me what happened. A soft, rasping voice rose from the hollow below again. Mother, the sound trembled, echoing like it came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Sarah froze, tears stinging her eyes. I'm here, she whispered back. I'm here now. The man shifted uneasily beside her, hand tight on the table. Don't let it leave again, he said quietly. You shouldn't have awakened it, she heard him murmur more to himself than to anyone else. The skeletal hand pressed slightly against her palm, cold and undeniable. It's alive, she whispered, voice shaking. The twins' eyes glimmered faintly in the lamplight. It's the truth, one said. And you forced it out of hiding, the other said. The man's hand hovered near his gun, though he didn't move. Some things, he said quietly, you can't undo. Sarah swallowed hard and looked back down at the cavity. I won't, she whispered. I'll see it through. The dust settled, but the weight of the presence below remained, pressing against the floor, pressing against her chest, pressing against her very thoughts. It remembers me, she said again. And I remember it now. The room stayed still, but the voice under the floor rasped once more, urgent and soft. Cold, Sarah exhaled slowly and pressed her hand fully into the hollow, heart hammering, ready for whatever truth was waiting to rise. Sarah pulled her hand back from the cavity, heart hammering, dust clinging to her skin. The hollow below seemed to breathe, faint whispers curling up like smoke. It knows me, she whispered again, voice trembling. The man didn't respond at first. He leaned against the table, jaw tight, eyes dark under the dim lamplight. It's not supposed to, he muttered, almost to himself. One twin stepped closer to the floor. It always finds the right hand, they said softly. And it remembers what was hidden. The other twin nodded. Everything burned and buried still speaks, they added. Sarah's stomach twisted. What do you mean burned? The man straightened, voice sharper. The sheriff, he said. Years ago, fire took more than walls. It took lives. And it took truth. Sarah's eyes widened. The sheriff burned something? More than burned, he said. Destroyed evidence. Destroyed memory. Made sure no one would find it. You mean, someone's dead? Sarah asked, voice cracking. Many, the man said, tone low, almost bitter. And it never ends. One twin crouched again, watching her. He wasn't just a man of law, they whispered. He was a man of fear. The other twin added, he hid everything. Even what the town couldn't speak. Sarah swallowed hard. And the fire, she asked. It was to cover it? The man nodded. To cover the truth. To hide the children. To hide what belonged to her, he said, eyes flicking toward Sarah. To hide what they couldn't forgive. The room grew heavier, like smoke curling through unseen hallways. You mean me? Sarah whispered. What did he do to me? He erased it, the man said flatly. Erased what should have been yours. What belonged to you? He burned the house, burned the past, and left you alone. The twins exchanged a glance. It remembers, even if you don't, one said. You forgot the fire. But it didn't forget you, the other added. Sarah's lips trembled. I remember fragments, she said. Flashes. Heat. Screaming. Shadows. And that's enough, the man said. Enough to find it again. Sarah swallowed hard, vision narrowing. Find what? The fire left a mark, the man said. A mark the sheriff could never erase. One twin crouched lower, whispering. The mark is hidden. But it's alive. The other twin added, and it waits for her hand. Sarah looked at the floor cavity again. The hollow, she asked. It's connected, the man said. Through the fire, through the silence, through everything the sheriff tried to destroy. And it remembers me, Sarah whispered. Yes, the man said. And it's waiting for truth. Sarah's hands shook, dust falling from her sleeves. I thought it was over, she said. I thought I ran far enough. Running never ends, one twin said softly. But facing it might. And the sheriff, she asked. He thought fire would hide everything, the man said, voice tight. But fire can't hide memory. Not when it chooses to speak. The room felt alive with presence. Dust swirled in corners, shadows stretched against walls, and the faint hollow beneath whispered again. It wants me, Sarah said, voice shaking. Not once, the man corrected. It demands what is owed. What the sheriff tried to burn. One twin's voice rose softly. It's a fire no flame can destroy. The other added, and you hold the spark. Sarah's chest tightened. I don't know if I can, she whispered. You will, the man said, voice firm. Because it's your hand that must uncover it. And if I fail? Then it remembers, he said quietly. And you'll know what the fire stole. The twins leaned back slightly, eyes steady. It's your turn, one said. It's always been waiting, the other said. Sarah exhaled slowly, trembling, and lowered herself toward the cavity again. I'll do it, she whispered. I'll touch what the sheriff tried to hide. I'll see the truth. The man's hand hovered near his gun, but he didn't move. The fire can't lie, he said. And neither can the hollow. Dust settled, silence pressing around them, and Sarah pressed her hands once more into the dark, brittle cavity, feeling the weight of memory, fear, and the sheriff's secret fire all in her trembling fingers. I'm ready, she whispered. I'll face it all. Sarah's hands trembled as they pressed fully into the hollow beneath the floor. Dust fell in soft clouds around her, the air thick with the scent of earth and old decay. The skeletal fragments pressed cold and brittle against her palms, but deeper, beyond the bones, there was something else, a shape, hidden, heavier, warmer. I feel it, she whispered. Something else. The man's eyes narrowed under the lamplight. That's what the sheriff never found, he said. The rest he thought buried is still here. One twin crouched closer. It waits for the hand that remembers, they said softly. The other twin nodded. And it's yours, they added. Sarah swallowed, her breath catching. What is it? You'll see, the man said. Everything the fire couldn't destroy. Her fingers brushed against a small, rough box, almost hidden beneath the soil and brittle bones. Here, she whispered. Something's here. She lifted it slowly, hands shaking, dust falling in soft clouds. It's heavy, she murmured. The twins leaned closer, pale eyes glimmering. It's always been heavy, one said. But not with weight, the other added. Sarah swallowed hard and pried it open. Inside were letters, folded carefully, tied with a faded ribbon, and a small wooden token, carved with intricate shapes she didn't recognize. Her stomach turned. This can't be, the man stepped closer, tone low and tight. It's what the sheriff wanted gone forever. Sarah unfolded the first letter, careful not to tear it. The words inside were sharp, personal, intimate. It's a record, she whispered. Of everything I lost. Everything they tried to hide. The twins leaned closer, unafraid. Not lost, one said softly. Never lost, the other added. Sarah's hands shook as she read the letters, her lips trembling. This is, my child, she whispered, disbelief cracking her voice. The letters, they kept the truth. The man's jaw tightened. The sheriff burned houses, memories, names, he said quietly. But not this. One twin's voice rose softly. It remembers everything. The other added, even what you forgot. Sarah pressed the wooden token into her palm. It's hers, she whispered. My child. Tears stung her eyes. I thought I'd lost her. You didn't, the man said. Not truly. Not while this waited. The twins watched, silent and steady. You found what no one expected, one said. The treasure they tried to erase, the other added. Sarah sank to her knees beside the hollow, letters and token in her hands. It's real, she whispered. She's real. The man crouched beside her, voice low. The sheriff thought fire could destroy memory. But memory, it finds its way back. And it waited for me, she said, voice trembling. One twin reached out slightly. It always waits for the right hand, they said softly. The one who remembers. I remember, Sarah whispered. All of it. The other twin nodded. And now it belongs to you, they said. You'll carry it forward. Her fingers closed around the wooden token and the letters. I thought I'd never see this, she said. Never know the truth. The man's hand brushed lightly against the back of the chair, silent support. The hollow doesn't lie, he said. And neither does memory. Sarah looked at the twins, their eyes steady and unflinching. Thank you, she whispered. For waiting. For keeping it. It wasn't waiting, one twin said softly. It was holding on, the other added. For you. She swallowed hard. I can carry it now, she whispered. I can hold her. The room felt lighter somehow, the air shifting, still heavy with dust but softer, less oppressive. The hollow beneath was silent now, the secret uncovered. The sheriff lost, the man said quietly. And you found what he could never erase. Sarah exhaled, hands still trembling. The treasure isn't gold, she said softly. It's her. It's the letters. It's the truth. The twins stepped back slightly, shadows receding. And now it's yours, one said. No one expected it, the other added. Sarah pressed the wooden token to her chest, tears streaming freely now. I never thought I'd see her again, she whispered. But I have. The man's eyes softened for the first time. Then you've won, he said quietly. The fire couldn't take her. And the truth survived. Sarah rose slowly, still clutching the letters and token. I can leave now, she whispered. And carry it forward. The twins nodded faintly, disappearing back into the shadows. Remember what waited for you, one said softly. And never forget, the other added. The man lingered by the table, gaze steady. Go, he said. It's yours to keep. Sarah exhaled one last time, heart hammering, dust settling around her. She turned toward the door, carrying the hollow secret, the treasure no one expected, and stepped into the night, ready to face the world she had reclaimed. Sarah stepped through the doorway, clutching the letters and wooden token to her chest. The night air was sharp, dry against her skin, but somehow lighter than the dust-filled room behind her. The man stayed near the doorway, arms crossed, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the shadows the twins had vanished into. "You're leaving," he said quietly. Sarah nodded, voice trembling. "I have to. I need to take her with me. The truth, the treasure, it's mine to carry." The man's eyes softened briefly. "It won't be easy," he said. "You know that." "I know," Sarah replied. "But I can't stay. Not here. Not while this hollow still whispers." One twin appeared at the edge of the yard, silent, eyes glowing faintly. "It remembers you," they whispered. "Always." The man's voice caught softly. "And you remembered it." Sarah exhaled slowly, stepping into the moonlit yard. "I had to," she said. "Or it would have stayed buried forever." The other twin appeared beside the first. "It's time," they said. "Go forward." Sarah nodded. "I will." The wooden token pressed to her chest felt warmer now, alive with something she couldn't name but understood deep in her bones. "She's here," she whispered. "And I'll keep her safe." The man stepped aside, motioning her past the doorway. "Go," he said again. "I stayed so you could leave. That's my part." Sarah glanced back, heart tight. "You stayed?" He nodded slowly, shadows cutting across his face. A soft wind stirred the trees, brushing dry leaves across the yard. The hollow beneath the floor was silent, still alive but held in check. "It's quiet now," Sarah said, voice low. "For now." "For now," the man echoed. "Until it remembers someone new. Until someone else forgets." Sarah nodded once, sharply. "Then it will find me again?" "Only if you let it," he said. "But you didn't. You faced it. You took the treasure. That's what matters." The twins' faint whispers floated through the night. "She remembered," one said. "She remembered everything," the other added. Sarah exhaled again, stepping onto the path that led away from the house, toward the darkness beyond. "I'll keep her safe," she whispered. "No matter what comes next." The man watched her go, shadows stretching long and low. "Good," he muttered softly, almost to himself. "She survived fire, silence, and the sheriff's lies. And she remembers. That's enough." The wind rustled through the trees again, carrying faint, whispered echoes of the hollow beneath the floor. "It will wait," one twin's voice whispered from the dark. "Always," the other replied. Sarah's steps were slow but steady, letters and token pressed tightly to her chest. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. She carried the treasure no one expected, the truth the sheriff could never erase, and the memory that waited patiently for her hand. "I'll keep her alive," she whispered. "Always." The man lingered at the doorway, alone with the silent hollow, watching shadows stretch across the dusted floor. "The outlaw stays," he said softly. "So she can leave. So the story can live." Sarah walked slowly along the dirt road, the wooden token and letters pressed tightly to her chest. The moon hung low, pale and steady, illuminating the path ahead. "It's quiet now," she whispered to herself, voice soft, almost unsure. The wind stirred the dry grass, brushing against her legs like faint fingers. "Too quiet," she added, glancing over her shoulder, though nothing moved. Shadows stretched long and still, the world holding its breath. "I wonder if it remembers me," she said, voice trembling. A distant sound, faint and deliberate, carried through the night, a creak of wood, like someone shifting in the dark. "It always will," a whisper seemed to answer, carried on the wind. She swallowed hard, heart hammering. "Even after all this time." A soft footstep sounded behind her. She froze. "Who's there?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. No reply, only silence. Then a figure emerged from the shadows, the man, the outlaw, his hat pulled low, eyes sharp in the dim light. I stayed, he said quietly. Like I said I would. Sarah's chest tightened. You didn't have to, she whispered. Someone had to, he replied. To remember. To keep the hollow quiet. To make sure the treasure could leave. She exhaled slowly, trembling. I have it now, she said. And I'll carry it. Always. The outlaw nodded slightly. That's enough, he said. For now. The twins appeared briefly at the edge of the road, silent and pale-eyed. She carries it, one said softly. Everything we waited for, the other added. Sarah's hands tightened around the letters. I never thought I'd see them again, she whispered. But I felt them. Every step, every shadow. They never left, the outlaw said, voice low. And neither did the hollow. But it rests while you hold it. Sarah glanced down at the dirt road stretching before her. Resting, not gone, she said softly. I understand. The wind picked up slightly, brushing the leaves along the edges of the path, stirring the dust in gentle swirls. I can feel it, she whispered. All of it. The hollow, the fire, the letters, her. The outlaw's eyes softened briefly. It's strange, isn't it, he said. How something lost can find its way back. Sarah nodded, voice trembling. And how someone who stays behind can let another leave. Yes, he said quietly. That's the way it works. Some stories need someone to remain. To keep the weight. So others can move forward. Sarah's lips trembled. Then you'll stay? I will, he said. As long as it needs me. She exhaled, taking a deep breath, feeling the night air fill her lungs. And I'll move forward, she said. With her. With the truth. With the treasure no one expected. The twins' whispers floated through the darkness again. She remembers. She carries it, one said softly. And that's all that matters, the other added. Sarah glanced down at the wooden token in her hands, pressing it to her chest once more. I'll never forget, she whispered. I'll never let it go. The outlaw watched her, quiet, letting the moment stretch, the shadows and dust and wind all holding still. Good, he muttered softly. That's all that matters. You remembered. You survived. You carry it now. Sarah nodded, tears streaming silently down her face. I carry her, she whispered. And I'll honor her. The wind stirred again, faint echoes of the hollow beneath the floor whispering through the night, soft and constant. It waits, Sarah said quietly. But I am ready. Always ready. The outlaw tipped his hat slightly, stepping back into the shadows. Then go, he said. Go forward. And never forget. The hollow rests while you remember. Sarah exhaled slowly, the weight in her chest shifting into something lighter, resolute. She walked down the road, the letters and token pressed firmly to her chest, carrying the treasure, the memory, and the truth that no fire, no sheriff, and no silence could ever destroy. The night held its breath, listening, as she disappeared into the horizon, ready for whatever came next. Dawn came cold and sharp, slicing through the cabin windows with pale light. She sat on the edge of the bed, hand pressed to her belly, listening. The world outside felt restless, waiting, like the land itself knew something was coming. He was already outside, chopping wood, the axe hitting the log with steady, relentless force. She watched him through the window, heart tight in her chest. They're here, she said softly, voice trembling. He didn't look up. Who? The men. From town. I can feel them. He stopped mid-swing, breathing heavy, axe raised. Where? Along the ridge. Just beyond the trees. I saw shadows moving. He set the axe down, wiped his hands on his pants, and looked at her. Stay inside, he said. Do not come out. I won't, she whispered, but her eyes never left the window. A low hum carried through the clearing, faint but insistent. The men had come early, before anyone else could notice, moving like wolves through the brush. She pressed her hand to her belly. The child stirred, small but quick, a reminder of why she had to stay strong. "They think we can't see them," she said, voice low. "They do," he said. "And they'll regret it." Footsteps crunched on the dirt outside. She flinched, heart pounding. A shadow moved at the edge of the clearing. One man, tall, broad-shouldered, with the faint glint of a badge catching the light. "Sheriff?" she asked quietly. "Yes," he said, voice low, steady. "He's testing us." "What do we do?" "Wait," he said. "Watch. Don't make a move they expect." The shadow shifted closer. The sheriff's voice came, smooth, controlled. "Morning," he called. "Thought I'd check again." "Stay back," she shouted suddenly, more out of fear than courage. He didn't flinch. He just stopped, tilting his head. "You're nervous," he said. "Afraid of what's coming." "I'm not afraid," she said, though her hands shook. "Not yet," he said. "But soon, you will be." She pressed herself against the wall, watching. Behind her, the lumberjack moved to the doorway, silent, strong, his presence enough to make the sheriff pause. "Back away," he said, voice low. "We don't want trouble." "Trouble finds you whether you want it or not," the sheriff replied. "You're on my land. You claim things that aren't yours." "They're ours," the lumberjack said. "Everything here is ours." The sheriff smirked, faint, practiced, but there was danger in his eyes. "We'll see about that." A rustle came from the trees. Another shadow appeared. The sheriff had brought men, two more, their shapes half hidden by the morning mist. She pressed her hand to her belly again, feeling the child respond, small movements that were fierce and unrelenting. "You think you can hide from the law," the sheriff said, voice rising slightly. "From me?" "We're not hiding," he said. "We're surviving." "Surviving isn't enough," the sheriff said. "Not when pride gets in the way." The lumberjack stepped fully into the doorway now, blocking her view, axe ready but not yet raised. "Pride keeps you alive too," he said. The sheriff paused. "Bold words," he said slowly. "Bold words for someone so small." She clenched her fists. "Small?" "You haven't met her," the lumberjack said. "Not really." The sheriff's gaze shifted to her, then back. "We'll see." He gestured to the men behind him. "Circle them. Don't give them an inch." The clearing held its breath. The wind shifted, scattering dust and leaves. She felt every movement outside as if the earth itself were trembling. Her stomach tightened around the child. "They won't take the baby," she whispered. "They won't, if we don't let them," he said, voice low. "Not today. Not ever." Footsteps moved closer. The sheriff's men spread out, surrounding the cabin just enough to make escape impossible. Shadows lengthened, and the morning felt heavy with threat. She glanced at him. "What now?" He studied the men outside, eyes sharp. "Now, we wait. Watch. And if they step over the line." "We fight," she said, completing the thought he left unfinished. "Yes," he said. "We fight." The sheriff's voice rose again, smooth and commanding. "You think your walls can protect you? Your land? Your claims? You think I won't take what's mine?" "We're not afraid of you," the lumberjack said. "Not now. Not ever." The sheriff smiled, faint, sharp, like a blade. "Bold words," he said again. "We'll see if they hold when I knock." The wind shifted again, rustling through the clearing, carrying the faint scent of smoke and distant timber. She pressed herself against the wall, hand on her belly, feeling the life inside respond with small, insistent kicks. "They're testing us," she whispered. "They are," he said. "And we'll show them we're not easy to break." The shadows moved closer, the sheriff's presence looming. The cabin, the clearing, the the two of them held their fragile space, waiting for the first move. The child stirred again, small but firm, a pulse of life that reminded them why they couldn't yield. "Whatever happens," she whispered, "we protect it." "Yes," he said, voice steady. "Whatever happens." Outside, the sheriff adjusted his stance, the men ready at his side. Inside, the cabin held its breath, every floorboard, every shadow, every heartbeat aware that the moment had come. She pressed her hand to her belly again. "We survive this," she said softly. He nodded. "We survive." The clearing was silent, heavy with tension, and the first threat had arrived.